Well, ladies and gentlemen, start your engine. Let's go for a drive. So we've always heard the expression when hell freezes over. Well, I live in Arizona. Excuse me. I live in Arizona, and as you can see, we got some snow. So I would think that would classify as hell freezing over, wouldn't it? So let me get my mic wire thing here. So maybe it doesn't make so much fucking noise. There you go. So that's what it looks like when people say, when hell freezes over, you go, I've seen that. Holy fuck. Mark showed me. Of course, anybody who lives in Arizona has experienced hell freezing over many times, because just because we live in the desert doesn't mean that it never snows once in a blue moon. But I thought you'd like this view today, because it'll be a little more scenic than normal. And looking at my face, it's like, I don't even like looking at my face in the mirror every fucking day, so I'm sure you don't either. Let's see if we can get some dirt off my windows. Oh, that looks better. Problem is, this thing always focuses on the wrong thing, and then I'm watching the video later on. It's like, what a disaster. Jesus Christ. It becomes an audio podcast, or I get so pissed off I don't show it. So anyway, it is Tuesday, and fucking welcome to the New World Order. I don't know how many days it's been since we got shafted with Biden, but I thought I would talk a little bit about some other things, because a lot of people do ask me from time to time, and I noticed that the Health Ranger report, I can't think of his name, but he's the founder of Brighteon, and I listen to his stuff because he's a little less apt to just jump onto the crazy train like some of these guys that talk about QAnon and stuff, and and they were raised by lizard people on Mars and stuff. It's like, don't be talking to me about QAnon and this big plan to save America and hoping that I buy into it, and then tell me, oh, by the way, there's 100,000 trained Marines that are subterranean fighting the lizard people that live in giant cities under the planet, under the Earth's crust, or wherever the fuck they live. It's just like, that's a story for maybe another day. But when you're talking to me about the country collapsing into, Beijing Biden's rule of socialism / communism, and, I don't really want to hear about it. But anyway, I think his name is Mike, but whatever. If I had brought my notes, I could tell you, but I didn't. Had to get to work a little quicker, hopefully just shortly after my wife arrives, because our heater fucked up, and the heat exchanger got a crack in it so it won't run, and said it could blow up, and I was like, that'd be great, because then my business would burn to the fucking ground, and we have loss of income insurance, and then I could close and retire again, because we don't own the building, so I doubt the landlord would rebuild. She's like, fuck that. So anyway, I was listening to the Health Ranger report on Brighteon. If you haven't listened to him, check him out. He's a really good guy. He's very smart, and he talks about many things. But lately, he's been talking about the whole, giving us situation updates about everything and everything. And so he was gone over the weekend because he said that he was doing some Bible studying, which it's just kind of cool. And so he mentioned that, and then everybody sent him Bibles, you decide to do some Bible study, and like he said, he's never been to church, and he really doesn't read the Bible, and he's just figuring out reading the Bible. And so now he's got 100 different versions of the Bible. It's like, talk about TMI, and and get it. It's like I would just set it all down and go, fuck this. But he's like, let me get through the first Bible first, and then I'll start studying these other versions, which, he's a very logical thinking kind of guy. It just fucking passed me. Jesus, dumbass. So, that was my first thought. I was thinking, well, it's, he's talked about religion, and a lot of people, in his audience seem to care about religion, and you and I care about religion. I mean, it's fucking religion. It's like one of the mainstays of communication and talk, from the beginning of mankind. It's like when you talked about the weather or you talked about this, creator. And some of you that know me, because I've been podcasting for, 4 or 5 years now, I have a very different view on religion. Don't get me wrong. I believe there's a creator. And I'm very happy to have a pretty decent relationship with him as far as my understanding of him. Because, like I said in my last podcast, all prophecies are true. It just depends on the interpretation of them. And so I, look at it as, God created Adam and Eve and the world, kicked them out of the Garden of Eden and said, I'll be back whenever I do, go figure shit out. And I don't think he's been that hands-on. His plan that everyone says trust in the plan, I think is a little more abstract than we understand. And for many religions, to presume they know God's plan, I think is pretty egotistical and probably as close to blasphemy as you can get. Because you don't presume to know what God is thinking. And so, they came up with this Bible thing, or Bibles, or multiple scriptures, going all the way back to the Dead Sea Scrolls, where people always had to write shit down, because once we learned how to write stuff, and, besides drawing on a fucking cave wall, I know that's illegal, so just fucking get over it. Crossing a double white line. It's almost like, adultery, I would imagine, to a highway patrol. So, we got all these scriptures and stuff, and we wrote them all down, and everybody's like, well, I was talking to Bob in the cave. Bob said he went and killed a big lion, or whatever he called it, and had fangs and claws, and it was huge, and he was lucky enough to not get completely eaten, even though he's missing his arm. And so before he bled out and died, he told me about this lion, and I drew some pictures, and then it became a story. And then now there's more story, and it's like Bob the Great that slayed the lion and gave up his life to protect the village. And it's like, no, actually he was just out fucking around, and then he got attacked by a lion, and he killed it, and yay, but he died. Well, see, the story morphs into, Bob slayed the lion because the lion represented evil and Satan, and he did it for his people, and the tribe is more important than the individual, and the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the one, and blah, blah, fucking blah. And so it's just like the old game we used to play, you start a story and you whisper in someone's ear, Bob, had to fight a lion, and it ate his arm off and killed him, but he did manage to poke it in the eye and puncture its brain, and it died, and so, so let's just start Bob killed a lion, and the lion killed Bob. And by the time it gets around the room, it's like Bob is the great savior of the tribe when he fought the devil in the shape of a lion, and it symbolically tore his arm off to show him to use his other hand, which was his right hand, where he could draw and write and tell stories for the people, until he died and was taken up by the blood of Christ. I don't know. See, so this is how I look at it, and somebody else might look at it completely differently, because obviously they have, because there's, I don't know, probably 10,000 religions, going from the biggies, the big top 5 or whatever, down to the little, mom and pop religions, and it's kind of like an offshoot of, you know, the Methodists, which were an offshoot of the Catholics, which were an offshoot of the Roman Catholic Church. The King of England started the Church of England, and on and on and on. But really, then, these two people, talk about religion in their trailer, and they got a following, and they read the scriptures. So how can it be wrong? They're teaching the same thing everyone else is teaching. It's God. So where are we in this big picture, and how are we supposed to understand our place and our purpose if we don't try to noodle it out ourselves? So here's kind of how I look at it. Let's just say, God created the earth. The Creator created the earth for mankind. Now, I'm sure he's got more than one planet out there, but he finally came around to Earth, and he goes, look at all this, matter unorganized here. Now, let me put it together and build a planet. And that might have taken 1 million, 2 million years, because he's not in a hurry. And then as it came together using the laws of physics and science that maybe he created, but he still uses them. He just can't throw things together half-assedly and then expect it to become a planet, because then it wouldn't work. Because it's a lot of physics and science that goes into it. So he got it built, and then he's like, I need to create man, which was very, misogynistic of him or her to create man. He created it, and another it that we would call them they, and they, had children, and then okay, now so we're off track. So he created man. Now he could have created man through the amoebas crawling out of the slime, the little tadpole that grew legs and that crawled up out of the beach and became what we know as mankind today. But that overall took maybe 1 million years to happen. Well, you can sit there and go, well, that denies God. That's blasphemy. I was like, no, because God created all things. So therefore he created the amoeba that turned into the tadpole that turned into man. So did God create us? Yeah, I think he did, because everything on this planet he created. So if we were wood people like Root, in the Masters of the Galaxy or whatever that show is, which is funny as fuck, then we would still be in God's image, kind of, maybe. But we were created by him, because he created the trees that created Root. So, you get it? I mean, it's not that fucking hard. Now, I could go off on a tangent on that, and over maybe the 50, 60 years, I'm going to just say 50 years of my coherent life, because I'm 66. So when I was 16, I started a religion, and I could have a whole big religion built on this stupid-ass fucking theory. But is it a stupid-ass theory? Well, I don't think so. Because I believe if the Creator created everything and we crawled out of the slime where he just rubbed two sticks together and said, there's Adam, took his rib and made Eve, either way, I believe he created us. The timeline is what changes if it happened through slow process of controlled evolution because he's God, or he just, haphazardly threw a bunch of shit together and made Adam and then Eve. So we are now at the point of being totally fucking lost, because we're just in the Garden of Eden and there's you and this hot chick, or you and this hot guy. And so let's imagine for a moment, if you will, that you wake up somewhere like a fucking island, but it's huge. It's a big island, but there's no one there. And you don't know how you got there. It's kind of like, amnesia or something. You woke up. It's like, holy fuck, where am I and who am I? And I don't know anything. I've forgotten even how to use my words, because I don't know what words are. And so there you are. And that was probably when you were cast out of the Garden of Eden, because we hung out with God, I guess, for 1,000,000 years or 1,000 years or a fucking day. I don't care. And then he's like, okay, well, you ate the fruit, get the hell out. We were evicted. We didn't pay our rent by not eating the fruit or whatever. So there we are on this island. We don't know jack shit. Now, this may sound like a silly little way to brush off the importance of the story in Genesis, Mark. You're making light of God. Well, okay, then, fucking tune out. I don't care. Go away. But the reality is something happened and we don't understand it. And so we try to analyze it just like humans do and prove we're right. Because, have you ever been on a road trip with your kids in the back seat? And everything's fine after about the 15th time they go, are we there yet? And then, you finally hear them screaming and you look in the mirror and you're like, what the fuck are you doing? And they're like, well, little Billy says that the sky is blue because that was the crayon color that God had when he colored the sky. And so, okay, what the fuck are you arguing about? Well, I think it's blue because it's like the ocean is blue, which it's not really, but so it's upside down. It's like we could swim in it if we could get up there. It's like, okay, another good theory, good on both of you. So shut up. No, Billy's wrong. I was like, oh, so you're right and Billy's wrong, and Billy's side of the argument is he's right and you're wrong. Yeah. Damn it, Dad, tell him. And it's like, well, I could explain it to you, but neither one of you nitwits have the ability to understand string theory and physics and why the sky is blue. So why are you arguing? And if you're going to argue, why don't you have an intelligent debate, like point counterpoint, to where you come to some agreement to where it makes sense to both of you, and then stop fucking bugging me, or I'm going to turn this car around and we're not going to Disneyland. And so the argument persists because kids don't know. And my son used to do this to me all the time. He's like, when he thought he was smart, he'd like, Dad, what's, 5,000 times 62 million? Because those are numbers he had heard, cartoons or something. And so I would just go, 4,286,300,029 pennies. And he'd go, wow. And he'd just fucking walk off. See, that was it. It's like, wow. Eventually when he got older, and he's like, you really didn't know the answer to that. And it's like, no, fuck no, and neither did you. And what was the point of it anyway? It's not, if you want to know the real answer because you're in a math class, get a calculator. Leave me alone. I'm busy. So this is what people do. We try to extrapolate out of the void of nothingness and create something that makes sense to us because, why not just be happy you're alive and there's something to eat and you got a roof over your head? So Adam and Eve, they're on this island now. Well, Adam, you are. And then you're looking around and you're like, oh, here's the tree. So you play with the apple and you touch the apple or the orange or the banana or whatever the fuck it is. And you go, and you bite the banana and say, And then, but you notice it squirts some stuff out of there. So you're like, oh, you rip all that off and eat it and go, oh, that's pretty fucking good. So then you figured out eating, for now. And so you're doing that and you're walking around and, it starts to rain and you're like, wow, this sucks. So you get under a tree and then eventually you figure out you need a little more shelter than that, And while you're looking around, you see this really fucking hot chick standing over there in the rain eating an orange and you're like, whoa. Now, what is that reaction in you that goes, whoa, holy shit? Because you don't really know it's a girl because you've forgotten all your words. In fact, you're Adam and Eve. You don't have words yet. So it was like, wow, So you go over and it's like, hi, I'm Banana Boy, whatever. And she's like, hi, I'm Orange Lady. Ooh, I said orange. That's a trigger word. It's the Orange Man, the Orange Lady. Okay, I'm the Pear Lady. No, she's eating a melon. She's got melons. And so he's like, oh, well, hi, melon. I'm Banana. And she's like, yeah, I see that. So something triggers in the chemistry of the human body to where, just like when you have an itch, you can't explain what the fucking itch is, where it came from, but you reach over there and you scratch it with your fingernail. It's like, oh, that feels better. Sometimes it goes away. Sometimes it keeps going. You keep itching it until finally you get distracted and go off and, find another banana to eat. So, in the nature of things, they're sitting there, getting out of the rain and they're talking and whatever they, people that don't have language do. And nature kicks in and, you touched the apple or the banana and played with it, to figure it out. And she did the melon. So naturally you have this itch and, so you figure that out and then she gets pregnant. So, okay. That's all pretty logical. I mean, I'm making it into a really simplified version of whatever happened, because I wasn't there. Maybe I was. Maybe we were watching it. But see, the cable broadcast was shut off, and we don't remember it. So fuck it. God wanted us to know, we would remember. So I wasn't there. So now there's kids. So let's go from day one, and in the old Bible, here's Adam and Eve, and now they have kids, and Cain killed Abel. Well, wait a fucking minute. How did we jump to that point? It's like, well, there wasn't much going on. It's just fucking two people on an island that was really big called Earth. And, they were banging each other everywhere. They had an itch, and now they got, kids. Well, humans, no matter who created them, the way we reside in this body today, it takes 9 months to have a kid. So they live to be, I don't know, 100. I don't know. Let's just say that's the average, I guess, or whatever. Let's say they lived to be 1,000. So then they had 1,500 kids. I don't know what 1,000 divided, days divided by, months, 9 months would be. But they, you can do the math. You're right there. You got a calculator. My phone is having a hard time focusing on anything right now. Of course, it kind of looks like that even when it is focused, I guess. So, let's say they had 1,500 kids. And I mean, every time she popped out a baby, they just had sex again, and she got pregnant again, and boom. So exactly 9 months. So let's just say it was 12 months because she didn't want him to touch her for 3 months because she was sore, So that's cool, whatever. So 1,000 years, 1,000 kids. Half of them were boys, half of them were girls, and then Adam and Eve died, from COVID, and so now there's 1,000 people on the Earth. It's a big planet for 1,000 people, and then according to most religious principles and everything, you shouldn't have sex with your family, especially direct brothers and sisters. Shouldn't be banging each other, because you end up with people like the royal family in England. So they all died, and then that was that. So how did Cain kill Abel? Because what the fuck for what? I don't know. There's only 1,000 of them. How could you piss somebody off on a planet as big as Earth? 1,000 people, and Cain gets so pissed off at Abel, he hit him. So there must have been a Dick and Jane, and a Paul and Mary, and there must have been thousands and thousands of Adam and Eve. See, because we only know the story of Adam and Eve. And in our inability to understand anything that isn't explained to us by a fucking priest or a rabbi or something, there was Adam and Eve. And then they had kids, and then they lived happy ever after until Cain killed Abel. Well, okay. So that's where we're at in this scenario. So Cain killed Abel. Why? Well, maybe because, Dick and Jane had a kid, and his daughter was really hot. And they were out, looking around, because the fucking Earth, and kids do what kids do. And he was 14, and he was walking around, and he's like, sees this hot chick, and, so, they scratched their itch, and then all of a sudden Cain goes, hey, that's my girl, and he kills her. I don't know. But that would be the way out of this two-parent box with 1,000 kids. There had to be more Adam and Eves. So were there? Well, I don't know. Or was there incest? I've talked to religious people, go, well, there must have been incest, like animal husbandry. You can breed certain thing, maybe the, fifth generation of kids or whatever. It's like, well, no, wait a minute. No. These are all direct brothers and sisters from Adam and Eve. And, if you study biology and farm animal raising and stuff, it can be done. It's like, what, they didn't know that science back then. So what, they just get lucky they had a bunch of stupid ass inbred kids that they threw off a cliff, and they kept the 1,000 good ones, See, now we're in territory we don't know because we weren't there. It's like trying to figure out what's on the other side of the universe. If you could get to somewhere where you saw the end of it, which there is no end of it, but if you did, what would be on the other side? Well, probably more, you know. But I don't know. Maybe it's a bubble and a capillary action, and we would fall out into a cup of hot coffee. I don't know. So we don't know. So I assumed that there had to be more than Adam and Eve. So I've already blasphemed and just destroyed all that shit. So how are me and you supposed to figure this out? Oh, we're supposed to go to some dirty, old man that, it's 1,000 years old that got, bugs in his beard, to tell me what the fuck it means? No, see, because we have the ability to think, just like I came up with that story pretty much out of the blue while I'm driving here and noodled it out. So, let's see something here. There we go. Nope, turn that off, I think. How about that? Maybe that's a little less blurry. I don't know, fucking phone. Got a mind of its own. Just like Cain and Abel. So we don't know. So when it comes to religion and my way of thinking, I have the right to try to figure it out myself without being burned on the cross by some Jesuit priest 1,000 years ago and the Spanish Inquisition, which is how they did it. So we don't know, is all I'm saying. So that's like day one of my interpretation of, where we are in the Bible from here. Now, I haven't read the whole Bible. I mean, I've read it numerous times, but I don't remember the chronological order. So I'm just going to say fuck it for now. That's my, message numeral uno from, the crazy ass guy, Mark the Prepper guy, and my awesome opinion of life. And if this freaks you out and rubs you wrong, then by all means, please do not listen to, number 2 or whatever I go to talk about it, because I think I'll do a series on it, because I'm really tired of people telling me to trust in God's plan. It's like, you do whatever you want, but I have my own plan, and I don't mean to be an asshole, to God or Elohim or Jehovah or Yahweh or whatever his name is, because he never told us. So to presume his name, that's just stupid also. So I don't know. I know that as a human, I have this brain that was put there. I didn't put it there. I didn't buy it at the Apple store. It's just in my head. And so when I look at things that I don't understand, me being one of those right side or left side brain people, whatever the fuck it is, I try to figure it out. In high school, we used to get stoned because we did drugs, That's what you did in the 60s and 70s. You did LSD or mescaline or smoke pot. And then we would be at a party, and then we'd go, hey, I'm driving down the road and at the speed of light. And everyone's like, okay, yeah. Because they're into it. See, they're not getting all stupid and going, you can't drive at the speed of light. Because they don't know, so they wouldn't say that. They're stoned. And I go, I turn on the lights, what happens? And then we would spend the rest of the 8-9 hours that we were high trying to figure out, well, if I'm doing the speed of light and then I turn on the lights, would it project away from me at the speed of light? So now it's twice the speed of light? Or would it go backwards or forward, depending on how fast I'm going? So we just get into these stupid, mindless conversations that you don't know. But it was fun. It was like exercising. It's like, doing, curls or squats. There's nothing in my life that requires me to do 10 sets of 10 curls. It's just a fucking nothing. I lay carpet. The muscles I use are pretty well taken care of by working every day. So do I need to sit in a gym and do shit that doesn't help me? Get carpet laid in your house? No. So that it's the same thing. You're not going to understand what's on the other side of the universe, or what happens when you turn on your lights when you're doing the speed of light, or whether you can even drive a car at the speed of light, which we kind of know you can't. But so it's the same as exercising muscles that you don't use, you don't need. But it's fun. It's exercise. It's mental brain exercise instead of sweating muscle exercise, which I'm that way. So there you have it. And so I'm going to switch subjects, like they do in the important news stories and stuff, and try to talk a little bit about something else that it seems like Americans, being as smart as they are, don't have a fucking clue about either. So, what is socialism? And there's a lot of definitions of socialism. It's the dictionary version is the control of all means of production by the central government, and yet people are still free to do whatever the fuck they want, but they just can't open their own company. But you can go get a job anywhere you want, see, because we're socialists, which is kind of like China. It's a modified communism, socialism experiment. Which, in science, when you do an experiment 5, 10 times and it doesn't work, you kind of try to change it, but not the fucking commies. So socialism has been said to have never worked. And then, the elites that, like socialism because they want to take your money to line their pockets so they don't have to get a fucking job, which is the actual reason for socialism. They think it's a great idea. Well, in America, I see a lot of ads and commercials and websites on, I don't know, stopping world hunger. We need to put an end to world hunger. For $19 a month, you can feed this little kid, which is not world hunger. It's just one kid. In fact, if 100 million Americans all did it, we're helping 100 million starving kids, which is not even a drop in the bucket of a population of the earth of 7 billion people. So, but we're still trying, right? So where are these starving children? And I'm not being facetious, and that's definitely not really a rhetorical question. I want you to think about it. Where the fuck are these starving children? Well, they will tell you that there's starving children in America only to diffuse the argument that socialism doesn't work because, look, we're not socialists and there's starving children here. I call bullshit on that because, to say that a kid didn't get a meal that makes him 200 pounds overweight by the time he's 13 is starving, and I just don't believe it. I see all these people that are supposedly underfed and starving and in poverty in America, and they're fat and they got 5 fucking big screen TVs in their house. Where is the starving children? Where are, I should say, the starving children? Well, if you look around and you use your brain to fucking think. Now, I'm not talking to my average listener because most of you, the only reason you listen to me is because you do like to think and you like to see if you can push the needle of the paradigm shift one way or the other and think outside the box. You have an Overton window that's kind of pointing north and you're trying to keep it pointing true north. But most people can't think. So where are the starving children? They're in socialist countries. And they're not really socialist, communist, free market, capitalists. They're just fucking wild, crazy fucking people. You have a couple governments like South Africa here and there that, are free market or tried free markets, but then apartheid came and wiped them all out. And, so when you really look at where the majority of starving people are, they're in areas that do not have free markets. They don't have freedom. They don't have land ownership. The very fucked up situation that people want to change and feed all of the starving children is the system they're saying we should sign on to in America. And see, it sounds good. That's why they say, well, there's starving children in America. Now go fuck the hell off. Because that's just not true. Sure, do kids starve? Yeah, kids starve. Maybe, in America, 1 in 100,000 actually die from malnutrition, which is fucking only because their mother was too stupid to go to a hospital and go, what's wrong with my kid? And they're like, oh, he's starving. And then they feed him and they put him on a program. And then the government kicks in and fucking buys him a big screen TV and a Nintendo, whatever that newest Nintendo thing is, and buy him a bag of chips. And pretty soon he's 200 pounds overweight. So very few people starve in America. Now, adults get to starve because they're not kids, see? But we're, most of the time when they're trying to save the world from starvation, they're showing us pictures of kids because well, we're fucking human. It's like puppy commercials, save the dogs. Like, oh my God, you know. In fact, if you fed all the starving dogs to the fucking starving children, you would end it. Starvation, that is. Which is disgusting. People are going to go, oh my God, I can't believe you said that. It's like, well, the American Indians ate dog and they ate horse. And they preferred horse, I think, than dog, but I can't remember which one. But they had a preference. And it wasn't because they just, raised dogs for cattle. They just, when it would get winter and hunting was really shitty, they'd fucking eat their dog or their horse. But they weren't going to die. So, there's other avenues besides, fucking hitting me with a tear-jerking commercial. So I want you to, as your homework here, because I'm almost at work, as you can see, I want you to think about where are the starving people and where are the things that we talk about every day on saving the starving children, saving this, saving that. They're in countries that are run by socialists or communists, or they have no free market. I'll just say that because there's a thousand forms of shitty-ass government. But the one that works is the free market system, because then I can talk to you and negotiate a fair wage. I can talk to you and say, this is how much it costs. And then you go, this is what I got. And then it's like, well, and then, well, maybe, okay. And then we shake hands and we do the transaction, and it's fair because we both agreed. So there was no gun held to my head to work for this company at $15 an hour, or a gun held to my employer's head to pay me $15 an hour when I'm as dumb as fucking dirt. So think about it, and also think about, religion, because this governs our life more than you will ever know. And you will have people always trying to get you in their camp of beliefs, which in religion is called their church and their congregation, and they want your fucking money. I don't give a shit what anyone else says. So I'll wrap it up today. I'll do some more of these probably once I get things settled down and stuff. But anyway, this is just another podcast for shits and giggles, but I think I'm going to start doing them in sections. So let me know at prepperguy.com. If you liked it, me, kind of not just rambling on about religion for the whole show, or, socialism for the whole show, kind of break it up like Tucker Carlson does. They got 29 segments. You learn nothing in all the segments. And then he goes, well, we'll get back with you. And they never do. All right, I'll go. So I'll try to do that. So let me know. Email me. That's what email's for. I mean, they haven't censored that yet. Well, MailChimp has, but it's just a little email thing. Say, hey, Mark, talk about this next time, or here's something else I'd like to learn about, or hey, go back to that religious things and let's go to day 2 or whatever. So anyway, I love you all. Have a great day. Hell has frozen over where I live, and it's kind of cool. We'll talk to you later. Adios. Bye-bye. Oh, P.S. Enjoy the apocalypse.
We made too many compromises already. Too many retreats. They invade our space, and we fall back.
I'm your huckleberry.
The line must be drawn here. This far, no farther.
That's just my game.